Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.
Up. Good morning, welcome to Pimlico Racecourse. Naomi Tucker alongside Keith Fustel. Big day has arrived. Mandatory Rainbow Pick 6 payout and a record-breaking carryover. 1.4 million. Now, Keith, are you still certain in your estimate of what, 4-5 million, maybe?
I think it's going to be at least 3. Talking to a couple buddies of mine that play these pick sixes quite a bit, they could see it 4 to 5 million. So I'm kind of riding their coattails a little bit, and some of the experience I've shown, I see, with some of these other carriers how they just multiply on that mandatory payout day. So I'm looking forward to it. Interesting set of races. Nothing really pops out at me as a stone cold single. The last race is just a maze. So it's a good little sequence to wrap things up here for our Rainbow Six mandatory payday.
I agree with you that the final race on the card is a bit tricky. I think the race 9 is a spread race for me as well. I do love Mighty Mischief in the Concern Stakes though. So I'll talk about that in a second because I do have a Rainbow Pick 6 ticket. Aside from the fact that, of course, we have this big mandatory payout, it is also the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. Please do come and join us for the Red, White and Blue festivals. We have beer specials. We have hamburgers. Come and enjoy this day with us, right, Keith?
Absolutely. Hopefully you can get out here and enjoy some live racing on the apron. It's a beautiful day, and nothing like watching the live racing out on the apron with a cold beer in hand and maybe a hot dog and get some hamburgers. Got lots of food specials. Definitely check them out.
Absolutely. And, of course, we do have a first bet offer here. You do get $10 free bet to place on that mandatory payout. I mean, you got to use that, right? $10 free money. Take
advantage. I mean, bet a little, make a lot. That's the key to this game. That's what I love to do each and every day. Keep your tickets affordable and then hit the home run. Love it.
Let's have a look at the current track conditions, because are there any trends that we need to be aware of?
I don't think so right now. Turf course labeled good. That's going to be a little interesting. We've dealt with quite a bit of rain a couple of days prior, so that is going to be left up in the air. The main track played pretty fair yesterday.
Oh, it's good to hear. So that means you can use all your handicapping tools and see if you can get some closers or speed horses at home today here at historic Pimlico. Let's get going here with race number 1. We have 11 races on the card. Rainbow Pick 6 starts in race 6, so make a note of that. But of course, the early pick 5 starts right here in that first race on the card. Every single day of live racing at a Pimlico Racecourse. And Keith, you and I both landed on the number 4, Zip the Lip in here. for Jerry Robb. Now, we know what Jerry Robb and Xavier Perez are good at, and that is sending horses to the lead and taking them all the way.
Yeah, they go to the front and they stay there a lot of times. And key here with this race, scratch the 1 King Sean, scratch the 3 Scottsdale, and the 7 Golden G. You had a bunch of one-dimensional types in here. Now you're kind of left with Zip the Lip. If he breaks clean, he goes to the front, and I think he wins the race here. I was against him, but some of these other speed horses scratched out to soften him up. I think it's his race to lose.
Yeah, I use the number 2, Get Lit on the knees, and the number 6 as well, Championship Ali. Bruno Tesori starting to maybe get back in form here.
Yeah, and this is a horse that needed to drop. You know, he's been running over his head. He gets back here sprinting on the dirt. I think he's going to be okay, make a run from off the pace.
Second race of the card. I know that you're anxious to get to that Rainbow Pick 6, but you created a ticket for us for the early Pick 4. Does that mean a little bit of spending money because it finishes before the Rainbow Pick 6 starts?
We might have some spending money if we can get Trombetta to win race 2, right? Self-awareness, scratch the 3 San Antonio and the 8 Fugitive, your slight morning line favorite in race 2. So, again, self-awareness, I think he goes to the front. Let's hope he can avoid too much pressure and get the job done. We spread in race 3 with the 1, 3, 8, and 11. That's Maidens going a mile on the turf. Race 4. 2, 4, 6. Sublimity looking for another win here for Charles L. Frock in race 5. 1, 2, 3, 6. Can't wait to see what Bucky's Charm can do, what she can do on the turf course. I think she's going to be okay today. Maybe that sleeper type for Hammy Smith. $24 for the early Pick 4.
I love it, and we are on the turf for all the races, as thus far has been announced here at Pimlico. Race number 2, claiming 16,006 furlong the distance, and you already mentioned it, Keith. Both of us are on the speedster in here. Self-awareness drawn low for Michael Trombetta. Victor Carrasco on board. Let's hope he can flash some speed and continue, because last time he kind of struggled, made up a little bit of ground, and then faded into, what was it, 6? Yeah, 6 that day.
He faced some really fast horses that day. Going to lead, we saw yesterday, big effort from just off the pace, but he's quick in his own right. It looks like the only pressure to me would come from the 6, No Fooling Do, but I think he's going to have enough within himself to kind of rate around the turn, handle the pressure, and kick away, just like he did 2 races back with that glaring 75 buyer. The key is who's going to kind of run up from the back of the pack. You've got the 1.
I use the 1 on the rail here. I think Mortual can kind of be handily positioned. There's not the type that needs to lead at all, so I think he's got to take a nice sort of toe from the number 2, Self-Awareness, and then maybe gets, pulled out into the clear and come with a run for Victor Rosales. And William Comlo, 10-1 morning line. I thought I'd take a chance here. I feel like this is the spot to be able to do so. Race number 3, our first race on the turf on the day. Very much looking forward to getting all these runners back on the grass here. This is a mile going long, maiden 40 to 32 claimer here. I go towards the outside here. You use him as well. I use the number 11 on top. Very unexposed runner for Jorge Duarte Jr. The blinkers go on, though. I thought he made up a good bit of ground in his debut, and I think the fact that the blinkers go on mean they want him to be within reach in that home turn.
Yeah, this horse is going to take a lot of play. Hesitated at the break last time. Did make a move kind of well within himself to get into contention down the backside. Just didn't really quite kick on. Internal fractions there, I don't know what was going on with those, because the turf course didn't look terribly soft. The rail was out 20 feet. Maybe they'll change them down the road or not. But the blinkers go on. Second out's a very good angle. I just don't know who he ran against. I went back and looked at some of those horses. I don't think it was a killer maiden special, Wakefield. This is why he's in here for the maiden 40s. I'll try to beat him. If he breaks good, I'm sure he's going to be tough. But Cosmeticality, I'll give him one last shot. This is the boy who's, what, a half to Nick's Go. Bottom side, Cosmo Buddy was a very good turf sprinter here. This horse needs to relax up front. Had some trouble the last couple races. If he breaks cleanly, let's see how far he can go. I think he can go a long way in here. But I think the horse to beat, Ballyhoo Prince, has been proven on the main track, can handle this distance. I like the move right back to a mile. This is trainer Patrick Noosh, who gets his horses ready to roll. He can win off time. I'm not really worried about the break for Ballyhoo Prince. He's up against Food and Wine. Food and Wine's a horse, most recently, I think his last 2 races on the turf, 83, 84 buyer. So I'm between those 2 to keep.
So Cosmeticality, I went against him here. I would have loved to see him maybe take the blinkers off. He gets so keen. I remember speaking, I think it was J.D. Acosta who was on him in his last, 2 starts back, saying that the saddle slipped forward because that's how keen he was, trying to hold him back. Tried to do something similar again with Angel Cruz. So I was just thinking maybe the blinkers off, maybe, we just need him to settle and feel like he's okay racing without over racing on the front, because that's what Cosmeticality has been doing. So go against him there. But I agree with you. They wanted to to try and get him on the turf. The race didn't go that day, goes today. Perhaps he might just enjoy himself a little bit.
That's the key. Yeah, he's got to relax and rip it. You got to like that effort. Last time, Mr. Shades of Grey, a recent winner, right up at Parks, just won. He's proven the mile works. He was caught wide and still stayed on quite willing against the OK horse, their key horse in Mr. Shades of Grey. So we're right around it. 138.11. You're going to toss the 4 in.
He's bred to go this distance, Rip It, out of a well-bred Juddmonte dam by Tapit. I'm giving him another chance in here. I think he can do well. Race number 4, Nickel Claimers, Fillies and Mares, 3-year-old, and up 5.5 furlongs sprinting distance. And you use the number 6 Sublimity as your top pick. We do have a video of her last run, which was a victory right here over course and distance. And she kind of let the 2 leaders go, Ginny's Angel, Shaq's Hidden Gem, and gradually made her move towards them, but still had a bit of work to do, but battled for it down the lane and just got up.
I like the determination she really showed. She relaxed too, rated very kindly around the turn off the dueling leaders. Jeannie's Angel has been a key horse outside 8 Oaks, just makes that run wide, looms, but just doesn't quite have the kick in the finish of Sublimity. You see the condition, Fillies and Mares 3 and up, which have never won 3 or 3-year-old fillies. Well, this is a 3-year-old filly that's won 3. I fall for that every time. 6-2-4-3 for me here in the 4th.
I take the number 2 Sacred Lady, second after a layoff as well for Rudy Sanchez-Solomon. Yes, we're still waiting for him to get back into that terrific form, but John Geraldo had a nice winner yesterday. He's been riding high, so I like him taking some weight off here as we get going with race number 5, where you can tell we're trying to get to this a rainbow pick 6, because it's so important. We want to pick those winners for you and lay it out well. This is a conditioned allowance level mile on the turf again here. I think this is quite an interesting race here, because my first question mark was, who's going to go to lead in here?
Yeah.
None of them really want it, if you really look at it.
Epic Idea has shown speed going long in the past. She comes off the 2 sprints. She gets back to this off of that DQ. That's why she's eligible for this race here, the state bred allowance. So I think she's going to be forward. I think I Love You has some natural speed as well. But my top selection is going to be 2. I know you got Speed Lane here, pick second. I think she can be closer. She was just a victim of kind of post trip 3 wide against a slower pace and made the move and flattened out. I think you're going to see Sheldon maybe put her into the race a little sooner. She keys up against the right kind. Out of sorts, who beat her the other day, right? She comes back and wins yesterday. The Christiana Stakes at Delaware going away. In that Fairgrounds race a few races back, Gam's Mission has been very good. I think it's run well, in a grade 3. You did win the grade 3. So she's got the right company. I like her to mile. She's going to sit a stalking trip in here.
Yeah, I like her as well. I have her in my exact. She was well outmatched in that hilltop, but that was a strong race that day. Then came back and did very well at that first level allowance. I used the rail horse here, the number 1, I Love You. As you mentioned, she does have a little bit of speed. She was projected by US Time for him to be one of the leaders. Now, I don't really think she wants to be in front. I think she would love to just kind of sit that stalking position behind him. Gets back on the turf. That was an off-the-turf event. They allowed her to stay in. Don't think she really enjoyed that much. Didn't have the best of breaks that day. I think just getting back on the turf and get within reach, she can come with quite a handy close. And I love that Carol Cedinho remains on board. She seems to fit this 5-year-old quite well here. As we'll finish up with the first section of the card. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with that Rainbow Pick 6.
And they're off. Second in the 2-pap. Round off her inside. And a quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Pimlico Racecourse. One of the biggest days we've probably ever had here, aside from Preakness weekend. Record-breaking carryover, mandatory payout day here on Independence Day. 1.4 million already in that pot. That is gonna grow. We're so excited. I created a ticket. I started off obviously here, race number 6. Bit of a spread. As you can see, my ticket is much dearer than I tend to do, but you know what? You're going to get paid if you hit it today, so you have to be involved. $81 flat. I used 3 horses in, the 1, the 2, and the 5. I tried to beat the number 1, Tam Char, is going to be a short price favorite with the number 5 behind the couch here for John Saltzman, Jorge Ruiz. She has tactical ability. She gets back to a fast track. She spun her wheels a little bit on the sloppy surface last time out. I think this could be her game. 5 to 1 morning line. Race number 7, 5 furlong sprinting on the turf. The first of 4 stakes events here. I use the 6, the 8 and the 12. The 8 is my top selection here, which is introduced for Jorge Duarte Jr. She was 4th behind Caravel 2 starts back. Caravel came back and won the very one here on Black Eyed Susan Day, and then the Goldwood at Monmouth. Terrific form lines coming out of that license fee stakes up in New York. So introduced, getting back on the turf here with that form that she's shown. I think she's going to be very dangerous. She probably will take a fair bit of the money. And then here comes my single in the concern stain. 6 furlong the distance, Mighty Mischief, grade 3 Chick Langwin. And now that day, I loved him. I went against Jackson Traveler, put Mighty Mischief on top. And I actually think that Ricardo Santana won that race with his ride because it was an interesting start. Jackson Traveler broke on top, but Santana was more aggressive on Mighty Mischief and sent him to the lead when Irad Ortiz Jr. took Jackson Traveler back. Mighty Mischief, he's going to be the fastest early. He's got the rail position. I think he's going to take them all the way for Hall of Fame trainer in Steve Asmussen. Race number 9. This is a spread race for me. The Caesar's Wish, mile and 16. I go 5 deep. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. Using the number 3 as an extra here. Artful Splatter. Didn't include her in my top form, but she's coming second after layoff. Got caught wide at Delaware last time out. I'm not sitting on a Kieran McGee runner in here who has got the figures, if you go back through her career, to pose the upset here. And I want to be on board. Race number 10, I go 3 deep here using the 4, the 5, and the 7. The 5 is my top selection there. Chateau, shipper for Rob Atras, won the grade 3 Tom Fool 3 starts back. I think he's going to have the jump on Yopon. I think he's going to try and dominate this, and Yopon might just throw out the toys from out of the pram if he doesn't get the lead. Love the fact that you like Lakai in here. I use Lakai too because he can pose the upset when spying the speed in front. And in race number 11, wanted to go deeper here. My wallet was starting to scream at me that I couldn't. 3, 8, 10. The 10 is my top selection in that spot. Gleaming Sword for Dale Capuano. They've wanted to have this 3-year-old on the turf from the get-go. This is their chance. 3, 8, 10. But if you want to add a couple of more, you might just unearth a price play there. $81 flat, as Keith and I hopefully are going to guide you to that winning ticket to get that Rainbow Pick 6 payout. The first race of the sequence is 6 furlongs on the main track. Optional claimer starter allowance. And let's have a look at that maiden breaking score of the number 1 Tam Char. She is going to be the one to beat in here, and she didn't break that fast. I think she broke average and ended up kind of sort of on the back foot there. Now, did anything happen? I just thought that was her, to be honest. I kind of blame that a little bit on herself, but you might have a different opinion.
No, she just was a little bit, you know, maybe a little rusty, right? Off that break, touch rank leaving there. But I tell you, you got to love the way that Toledo didn't panic at all and just let her just carry herself right up to contention, track the leaders. And when he said go, look at this run. I mean, nobody really saw this coming, except maybe the Frogs.
Maybe the Frogs.
This was a strong run. 110-4, you know, open allowance boys went 10 flat. I like the way they're working the conditions here, not jumping ahead to the allowance, going through this this condition race right now. So I think she's going to run right back. I don't think that took too much out of her, that last 1/8 of a mile. She was just cruising to the wire.
She was. I'm trying to beat her with a price play. That was a gaudy figure. Can she run back against a much tougher field here than what she's ever seen? There was nobody in that field that made a 40 that's ever ran a 50 by or more. Right. There was nobody to pressure her, nobody to give her a duel down the lane. Is she going to respond well if someone starts to run at her? I'm not sure. I'm going to try and take my chance. I think she's going to be, you know, a heavy favorite in here. Yes, a strong figure, and she looked visually impressive. I'm not going against any of that. Just maybe that lack of experience, and can she back that up? Because that was quite the improvement in comparison to their first 2 starts. So I use the number 5, who I'm glad to see you have in your exacta behind the couch. She gets back to a fast track. She has tactical ability. Yes, she's surrounded by speed, but she can also come with a rally if needed for John Saltman. Jorge Ruiz aboard.
Yeah, it looks like her, you know, one of her best races of recent was off that little break where she ran against the bias and made a little bit of a run. Last time up with the flow at 5/8 pressing. Is that really her game? Yeah, you said she showed speed back on her pages, just trying to find that right spot for her. I think Ruiz, a good rider, can judge pace. We saw it yesterday with a couple of rides. He can just sit, relax, just off of it if he needs to and make a move into it. I think Hufflepuff is going to take initiative here, though, from the inside. The 2-horse Hufflepuff for Damon Diddle DeVico might be the true speed of with the speed. But
So
Tamshar, I'm going to take her right back.
how deep would you go here in your Rainbow Pick 6 ticket then, this opening leg?
3, 4, maybe. Devilish Affair is even like kind of like a sneaky price play for me in there. On a day like this, it's a mandatory if you can afford it and get guys together.
Yeah.
Play the old quote-unquote max ticket. You know, if you want to do one max and then one little side where you trim things a little bit, fine. But you know, 1, 5, and 1, 2, 5. They're my keys. But the 4 is a little sneaky. That kind of price blow up type.
See, I think it's interesting to maybe add a price play in here. I used Lambo Lady, really wondering if she's back to that form she showed when breaking her maiden and then that optional claiming level, or maybe use the number 8 Brewster Flats. I thought she was a little bit interesting on the outside. She improved after a break and then showed late gameness there. She's 12-1 morning line, so maybe if you can afford it, put a price play in there and see if you can get things going off to a strong start here. First stakes event of the day. We have 4 stakes coming up. Is race number 7, the Jamila Stakes. 5 furlongs on the turf here. And of course the start of the late pick 5-2. Now I don't believe we have $1 million in the carryover there, but if you got kicked out in that first leg of the Rainbow Pick 6, this is your chance to get back in with the top class stakes action coming your way. No carryover, but still 12% at one of the lowest takeouts in the biz. So Jamila Stakes, both you and I respect the number 8 in here, which is introduced for Jorge Duarte Jr., Javian Toledo aboard. Let's look back at that video that you pulled up. That was summer of June, a while back. Yeah. But she came with a bold 5-wide attack.
Last summer, I had a little bit further ground there, a 5.5 at Laura, but really rated kindly. Comes with this wide surge to go ahead and get up. And you look who she beat there. Beantown Baby's been really, really good of late. It's come back in good form. Introduced has just run consistently faster, Naomi, than these horses sprinting on the turf. Guess maybe the question mark with the type of surface today, what you're going to get, we've got it listed as good. She's run a good enough number, mid-80s on a good surface. She breaks away cleanly. She should be able to stalk and move by. It looks like Can the Queen gets a major assist here with the scratch of proper attire, who I thought was going to definitely be a forward factor. So Can the Queen held very late after vying last time out on the turf. You go to the 2-back in the very one. She clears. She might be gone.
That's why I have her in my exact. I think she's massively helped by the fact that the speed is out on her inside, and she might just be able to take them all the way. But introduced, I mean, Caravel, we can see that form line with Can the Queen. Caravel came back to win the very one, so terrific sort of form, Frank, because introduced ran 4th behind it. That was a good race. Couple of winners came out that, and I use Can the Queen in my exacta, but you use the number 7, Quiet Company. Bit of a price pay there underneath.
Yeah, just the stranger here in the group. She's run okay going long on the turf. You see that 5/8 back at Gulfstream? No, but a barn change here. The works are really forward to me. I think she's going to be laying close enough to just kind of be fresh, stay up there and grind it out, maybe grab a piece. You know, if something really develops,
too short for her, though?
That's going to be the major question. But I like the way she's ramping it up in the morning. That's been the key for me.
No, I like it. I look back at that race that she went 5 furlongs, which was at Gulfstream Park. Just run off her feet from the get-go. Did come with a close, so I'll give you that. But she wasn't as comfortable with the pace. Like it is a lot higher than the miles that she's been running over and been quite effective over as well. So I use her underneath, but just with a butt based on that on the distance.
Spun glass, right? You've got in there as well.
Yep, I do indeed. Towards the outside there, Spun the Glass, Michael Trombetta. She's coming off a bit of a break, but she spent her winter at Gulfstream running pretty decently there during the championship meet, and her work tab shows that she's ready to fire again. So I like the fact that they just kind of backed off her a little bit and coming in fresh, a closer with an outside draw. I don't mind. She's going to just slide back in and then make her move, hopefully weave through traffic.
Her best race. Yeah, her best race now. I mean, you say off of a little bit of a break. You saw her go up the Woodbine and make a good run. Had a little trouble, too, in that race, and one was something in reserve. Yeah, she's kind of that, you know, fresh horse. It's tactical enough. She should be sharp enough to stay within range and make a punch into it. Yep.
I agree with you there. The Concern Stakes, race number 8. I know who I'm looking forward to seeing here, and that's Mighty Mischief, the Chick Lang winner. Let's look back at that Chick Lang Stakes, because I loved how you highlighted the start here. This was key, what happened here. You see the number 4 Jackson Traveler got the early advantage, but the number 2 Mighty Mischief more aggressively ridden by Ricardo Santana Jr., and I think that got him the win there. Jackson Traveler came with a rally, but Mighty Mischief had the jump because of the choice that Ricardo Santana made early.
Yep, aggressively ridden and was on the best part, absolutely, of the racetrack. The inside was where you wanted to be that weekend, and he dictated. Now, looking at the breeding, which is interesting about this, the mare, she was like long on turf. You go back to the second dam, and there's the speed. So you've got a really good combination. So, Naomi, I'm thinking even if this horse maybe misses the beat just a little bit, he's going to have the talent, I think, to be able to stalk and move into it as well. Going Greg Guns and Asmussen, he's just been deadly. Last 5 years, you know, it's not a slew of horses, but 14 for 24, 41%, 23 of 34 in the money with the dirt sprinters. Mainly, most of those are in stakes races here in Maryland with an ROI of 244. But, yeah, 6 to 5 on the line. I guess the real question mark horse in here, you have picked third, as I do as well. Roderick. What do you do with Roderick? What's your take on him?
Oh, I thought that was a tough one. He was reported gelding on June the 14th. Bad stumble last time at Belmont when he was making a seasonal debut. Took all the money that day, might I add. Everyone was on board with him. He unseated Rosario. And if you go back to his form, third start back in hand, literally geared down, he won that allowance at Churchill Downs. Seems to be working the lights out at home. 47-3. Of course, prepared by Wesley Ward. Hit and miss, I feel, with him.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if he's going to turn up here today, but if he does, he certainly will be the one to look for late to try and rally down Mighty Mischief. Now, I think Mighty Mischief's got the advantage here being low drawn, got that early speed. He's shown how talented he is. I do think they might be seeing this as a prep for bigger and better things. I think they were mentioning Saratoga later on, but this seems an easier spot than the Chick Lang, the horse he faced in there. But Roderick is the unknown in here.
I just think he's going to take a lot of play just because of the Wesley Ward factor. I was surprised that he took as much play as he did last time.
I was surprised by that as well.
But he's got that glaring 92. But does he want 6 furlongs as well into some quality sprint types with some speed drawn to his inside? Can he sit just off of them and kick on? That remains a real question mark. I think Sibelius is the horse that maybe could be turning back in distance and get that trip, that setup to rally into it. I think he's going to be good sprinting here today at a little bit of a price. Do we have a video on that one as well?
Yeah, we have a video
let's show
his
that.
Start where he didn't get away well at all. He kind of jumped up or not as focused and missed the start by about 2 lengths. Yeah,
this is the debut run at Laurel on March the 21st. We're going to watch it here at the break, and just kind of a little bit of a hesitation. Was a little unruly too prior pre-race and got away slowly. We'll watch it one more time. Almost had the head turn slightly there too, Naomi, just prior. You see that a lot with these first-time starters and not quite completely tied on. This horse, I thought, ran huge this day. Was down inside, altered course, and really runs a big effort. Cry No More, we know, is fast. Okay, that's a Kieran runner. He's won 3 times. He's run 89. He's run an 84, kind of running similar numbers to Mighty Mischief. Maybe not quite against some of the class, but against some good horses. Watch this run late here. Just dead determined. Sibelius went down to beat a big field at Keeneland. Didn't want any parts that looked like of the sloppy track going along at Penn. Turning back in distance, I think he's the rate and close kind of contender here in race 8. The concern stakes here for Jeremiah O'Dwyer's a pretty good run of late.
And then even just looking at that Keeneland form, the maiden special weight that he went on to win second start. 2 next out winners at those high maiden special weights level as well. So that wasn't an easy race, and I just like him getting back to the sprinting distance. No blame at all for them trying to stretch him out. Why not? You have a 3-year-old. Why not see if he can take on the the class acts around the 2 turns? Guess that wasn't really the case. I like him moving back here as we'll get going with race number 9, the Caesar's Wish. Mile 16 on the main track. Now, you saw it on my ticket, Keith. I am very spready in here. It's a 7-horse field, but I really feel like there's just a couple unknowns in here that could possibly jump up. You went with the number 2 Trolley Ride here for Bernard Houghton. She's in terrific form coming in here. She'll have to continue those kind of figures to best ease.
Yeah, I think my top 2 picks in here are the top money earners in the race, but I've got it written up top here on the form. Tricky Race. This race, I can kind of envision it running in waves. You've got a couple speed types in Artful Splatter. His Glory, I think, are going to be out there. Even Gracetown will be late fairly close. And you've got some middle-of-the-pack horses and a little bit of a deeper closer. Trolley Ride, to me, 3rd race off of a break. Beat the right kind of horse last time. Now, did it on the home track up there at Penn National. But she's just got some races on her page that work for me. Bernie Houghton, the trainer, when he brings horses down for stakes, they usually run pretty well. Won the, what was it, with Vault, the 38 Go-Go a couple of years ago. Obviously, Crab Cakes. when he doesn't come down here unless he's ready to roll. He's got a horse that's going to make a good showing. This veteran, she's good, 9 for 26. The horse she beat last time out came around second in the Delaware Oaks. I like this horse, Trolley Ride today, to be 1-2. Just it's a perfect trip inside, can save ground and make a run.
I use the number 7, Mrs. Orb, on top, second after a break, excuse me. Third place in the Critical Eye Stage against State Bred, so against the New Yorkers up there. And she was on a good run during last year's summer, last year's winter. I mean, she won the Love or Doubt. She nearly captured the Critical Eye, the Union Avenue. I think she's kept the right company. Those are not easy races throughout, those meets at the Spa up in New York. You're coming against tough horses. Now comes in here second after a break. I think she's gearing up for something big here again, but she certainly will take a bit of money for it too.
She's going to take money. It would not surprise me now she goes off the favorite with Landing Zone. I struggled a little bit with the line in this race, but
Landing
Mrs. Orb,
Zone, of course, not lining up here today.
No, scratched out of the race is the 8 Landing Zone. So 7-horse field. She draws out widest. I think she's still going to be okay with a couple of those horses. Definitely leaving for early position, that being Artful Splatter in his glory if they break cleanly. So she's going to draft in. Her and Trolley Ride, they've run the fastest races. When I go back and I've looked at everything else, if they bring close to their A game, I think one of these two will get it done. Gracetown's an improving type, and his Glory's a horse that if Artful Splatter, didn't really bring it last time, could be a threat a long, long way in here for Sharping and Acosta. Good race.
So I had this race as a bit of an upset race on my Rainbow Pick 6. Also included Artful Splatter, even though I don't have her in my picks. She got caught wide on her reappearance after a bit of a break. Low draw, I think, might just help her out today. She's fast early. She was 4th in the Conniver. Now, we haven't seen that Artful Splatter of good old.
No.
She was on a tear throughout this throughout the winter of 2020. Do you think she likes a bit of cut in the ground? I always thought she's just a touch better on the off-going. I think we got maybe some rain coming, but probably not enough to help her out here. But still don't want her to be the upset runner here for Kieran McGee. So move along to race number 10, our final stakes race on the card, the Light the Fuse Stakes. 6 furlongs the distance. Has drawn down to a 4-horse field, but a quality field nonetheless. I mean, looking forward to seeing Yopon back in here. Of course, he won the Chick Lang in, 2020, the Grade 3 Chick Lang there. He was on a tear. He was winning 4 back-to-back races, and you can see him there. I think this is the most critical part. You see how hard Johnny Velasquez has to ride to get him to the front. That's him. He's always like that. This is a horse that seems to get ridden from the start, and you ride him all the way to the finish. But he responds to you. And I remember asking Johnny Velasquez, does that worry you? And he's like, no, that's just the way it is. As long as you know that, you can give that horse a good ride here. Now, Ricardo Santana Jr. on board, we know that he's aggressive.
Going to have to be aggressive. That day he leaned in a little bit, too, and actually had the bump, but send up. But fleet of foot out of the gate of Chateau. So you've talked about it. Is he going to be discouraged a little bit if a horse kind of gets away like a length or two of him in that first 16th of a mile? Is he going to be able to still kind of continue progress? Because his last 2 races on the page, he's had trouble. He's working forwardly, no doubt. And I think he's going to be a presence. He's going to go up and engage Chateau at some point around the turn. I see Lakai lurking. I'm rooting for the hometown guy here. Come on, Big D. Let's go.
Quickly talking about Yopon, because in that Breeders' Cup sprint race, couldn't get to the front. I think that kind of, I wouldn't say he threw his toys out of the pram, but that did bother him a little bit. He wants to be forwardly placed. In Dubai, I don't think he liked the Meydan track. I don't think he liked the service. Never seemed to really be going over it. So I'm writing that race off, but I think the Breeders' Cup sprint is quite telling in the fact that if he can't get to the lead here today, how good is he going to be? And that's why I ended up using the number 5 Chateau, because I think he's the fastest from the get-go. Recent Tom Fool handicap winner here. Sped clear and just held them all off that day. Charlie Marquez takes the ride here for Rob Address. But I like that you use the number 4 Lakai because he's the one that's going to spy the speed, see everything, unfold in front of him, come with a tenacious close. He won the De Francis Dash, gave trainer Damon Delodovic his first ever graded stakes win. I do believe Light the Fuse was multiple De Francis Dash winner as well, so it's kind of fitting if Lakai would take home the spoils.
I think he's got a great shot in here today. The first, 1/8 of a mile, 3/16 of a mile is going to really see, how it's going to set up for him if those two can kind of get engaged or really throw it down and force a really really, really fast-paced. Because we've seen Chateau come back. He's been clear, and he's come back. He's come back to some really good horses. But Lakai's a good horse, too. He's 8 years old. Tremendous job by the whole team at that barn to keep this horse in form. He's third off of a layoff. We've got a stat here, too, for Damon Dilladovico. Last 3 years, 8 for 30, 27%, 18 for 30 in the money. Dirt sprints, third off of this type of layoff, 60 to 180 days, 233. Yeah, the hometown guy. Don't think he can't get the job done.
Look, it's a 4-horse field. I am not sitting on Lakai. I used 3 horses on my Rainbow Pick 6 in a 4-horse field. Okay, so I think that shows how competitive this heat actually is with Yopon, with Chateau, with Lakai maybe picking up the piece. I mean, Lakai is a no short of two Frank Whiteley wins. This is a horse that absolutely comes with a tenacious close. Third after the layoff, I do hope he's going to be peaking here because he'll have to.
He's going to have to. There's no doubt. He's going to have to run a top. He's going to have to get there. But on his fastest races, I mean, and he's run that 2-back race to me is good enough to beat this field. So we're going to see.
I agree. I agree. Final race on the card, race number 11. Maiden claiming 16,000, 5 furlong sprinting on the turf. Now, we know, Keith, that these final races on the card tend to throw an upset or two. This is tough, and I can see that we use similar horses here. You ended up using Leave 'em Loaded on top for Hamilton Smith. I like the fact that he's finally getting his chance to run on the turf here. His dam was a stakes winner sprinting on the turf, so absolutely bred for it.
Absolutely. She won the Salima at 5.5 furlongs. You go back to the second dam, Miss Lombardi. I think 4 or 5 wins on the grass. Could do it longer as well. Mosler, he can handle the turf. He was fine sprinting. I mean, right now, the All-Spring, there's only been a limited amount, so the percentage is a little bit low. I'm sure that's going to go up. So, yeah, I think Leave 'em Loaded can kind of just take that stalking position in here and maybe edge on by Hair of the Dog. The 6 is going to be the horse, I believe, to catch. First time here for Miguel Vera.
Yeah, I use the number 10 on top. You said Gleaming Sword as well. Dale Capuano. I mean, they've also wanted to get this gelding on the turf. You can see that both off the turf events, but running very, very decently. So have to translate, but I think he's going to enjoy himself on there. We both used the number 3, as you mentioned, cracked the safe for Timothy Sullivan. Really started to wind up with a rally in his last race. Jumped the tracks, probably cost him third, maybe. I think he could have gotten up for third that day. If he continues his progression, might be a price user. I
think, and a cleaner break, I think he can be a little bit closer as well. This is a horse I had marked down since debut with that shuffled early trip back in October of 2020. Was okay with a belated run there, but I think this horse was a good break, definitely, and avoid any trouble. You see the jumping the tracks down the back, so this was finished up quite well. This is not an easy race to finish it up with for your Rainbow Pick 6. Virginia Fib for Susan Cooney would not surprise me. Second Lasix, first time Lasix on the this horse that ran behind Kenny Had a Notion, ran okay in the Jamestown Stakes a while back. So yeah, lots of ways to go. Lost Uncle wouldn't surprise me. By Uncle Lena, so horse talk a lot of money. Talking about Damon Dilladovico, another runner, took a lot of money in debut. Really didn't fire at all, but the Uncle Lenos had 3 starters. All 3 have hit the board, I think, including a win.
So if we are to look at Rainbow Pick 6 structure really quickly, this is a spread race. Where would you go tight, though? I went tight in the Concern Stakes with Mighty Mischief. Putting you on the spot here. I'm so sorry.
That could be one. I mean, the 6th race, I think we got to go 3 or 4. In the Jamila, can you get away with 3? Maybe. I just don't have a single along the way. That's the problem here with me. So yeah, you've got your one single. I'll let you keep it. Go with it. I'm not going to have one single on my ticket.
I'm banking on Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen continuing his strong week. And, of course, Ricardo Santana Jr. riding high. They won the Suburban yesterday with Max Player. I do believe that means he's in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So very much looking forward to them continuing their streak here at Pimlico and seeing them hopefully down here as well. So we'll finish things off with lightning round. As usual, we're trying to give you a couple of horses to follow here. Heavenly Trip and Slats, both 2-year-olds. You can see Slats not jumping well there at all. Head up in the air for trainer Claudio Gonzalez. But Really strong late close, made up all that ground. You can see Heavenly Trip there, also coming with a tenacious run down a stretch. Blanket finish here, Keith.
This was, and O'Dwyer's horse down to the inside, digs in and just gets the bob right at the wire.
Yep, up for chance.
Oof, but slots ran real big. Now that horse was acting up a little bit in the post parade as well. Came off, you know, a little funky, but made a great effort to come back to just miss it. You talked about 3 across the track. Before we go any further, that's right, you gave out Cece yesterday too.
I did.
The Princess Rooney, we were talking
she
about
ended
that
up winning
race.
the Princess Rooney. I do believe Castillo Talentoso got the bob for second there. I liked her as well. So, you know, plenty of stakes action yesterday at our sister track at Gulfstream Park, but we've got all the goods today. Make sure you're tied on, of course, and celebrate 4th of July with us right here as we move on to the match series as well. Match series continues here in the Caesars Wish Stakes and the Light Diffuse, of course, our regional bonus point program. Match series Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred Championship, and we already highlighted the Chick Lang victor. Mighty Mischief will be back again today in action. Very much looking forward to that. Of course, Rainbow Pick 6.
Yes.
It's all about the Rainbow Pick 6 here, starting in race number 6. 1.4 million already in the carryover. Record breaking. Get tied on. Listen to Dave Rodman coming up next with scratches and changes, and so much luck to everyone involved.
Absolutely. These are always fun days when you've got the mandatory payouts. You get a couple buddies together, you know, you kind of and match with, see what you like, who can't you leave out, who can you leave out. And it's always fun to handicap with a group of guys and get their opinions, because sometimes, you know, we get tunnel vision and you need some help from the outside.
Fresh input.
That might get you that price play too along the way.
And you can share a ticket. Spread the investment and reap the spoils together. Get a group of friends and do join us. Have a beer here. And it seems to be shaping up to be a lovely day with strong stakes action coming up.
Good luck.